maybe people wouldn't come to FantasyCon. I think people did come to FantasyCon! I think some people showed up. Thank you for coming to FantasyCon. 2014 never happened before. Hope you're having a good time. We got some guys backstage who want to have a little chat. So we're going to be bringing them out momentarily. Thank you for your patience. We've got a lot more excitement coming up, and we're almost ready to go. So just give me a couple more moments and we'll be ready to go. Thank you very much. Not loud enough, they won't come out. Is that good? Good boy.
How's my mother? Sean Astin.
Happy 4th of July, everybody.
Thanksgiving.
That's the day that we declared independence from Britain.
Oh, Scotland's just about to do that.
You've been talking about that for a while. How'd you make it happen?
We just did it. We just stood up and did it.
It's one of my favorite movies, by the way.
Yeah, freedom.
Alright, so should we, I think it's either time to actually start talking or we can take questions. So what was it like working on Lord of the Rings?
I enjoyed it. What was it like working on Rudy? We're gonna go inside. We're gonna go indoors.
Now I know that that you have a professional, that you have a band, BK. BK, like cake.
Yes.
And where's the band at this moment? Is there a new album coming?
There is a new album coming. Thank you for asking, Sean. We're in the midst of recording it just now. If you don't have our first two albums, Soul Swimming and Blue Sky Paradise, please put your iPhones down and take it off camera, put it on iTunes iTunes and buy them now. So we can get the money to make the third album. There'll be a single out end of August, which is going to be amazing. We just recorded it, so I can tell you now, it's the greatest song ever made. And I can't wait to unleash it onto the world. Rudy! So yeah, if you don't have BK's albums, please get them now. Thank you. Thank you.
They're very, very, very good. It was fantastic music.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No, it's my turn.
Celtic.
No, it's not Celtic. It's
Contemporary.
It's not contemporary. I just like to call it love rock.
Isn't all rock love?
It is in some way. All life is love.
Certainly at a convention. Will you raise your hand if you've told me today you love me? I love all of you. Individually and as a group.
We have a few questions.
That is God. And if God's got questions, we're all in a mess.
I've got some of the answers.
He does.
Hello, fine young gentlemen. You look very nice today.
Thank you.
And I have a newfound appreciation for your job standing here. My question is for Sean.
Sorry.
So Sean, you have a producer credit on Remember This Time, which is a documentary on a film about Freemasons and Freemason suspense. You've done Mom's Night Out recently, and you also did host a radio show every Thursday. So my question is this: is there a burning aspiration, something that you haven't tried yet, that you are just really itching to do?
Thank you for that question. There's a lot of good stuff in there. The Sultana, Remember the Sultana, is a documentary, Civil War documentary we're making. Vox Populi is my radio show. Vox Populi, voice of the occasionally interested people. It's all about modeling civil discourse. And so a couple of other things you said in there. Freemason, which I shot here in Salt Lake City. Not for children, but I love the last 10 minutes. But anyhow, he knows what my burning passion is that I've yet to do.
You've never tasted mushroom soup. I know what it is. See, Sean likes to... He likes to be involved, and I think that's a great thing about Sean. Because he likes to be involved to make things better. He doesn't like to get involved. You know, there you go. That's his mother. Everybody's here. And I don't want to speak for you, so I think you should say that.
So I want to be president of the United States.
You got my vote, and I'm not even allowed to vote.
I don't think I'm going to have the opportunity to sort of exploit that particular passion, but no, you know what? Directing is something I've always wanted to do, and I've done sort of almost quasi-successfully. Actually, I directed a short film that is on the Two Towers DVD that's called, the Long and Short of It. And it's a really sweet, wonderful little kind of a kiss. The crew helped me on a Saturday make it. But the reason it's good, there's no dialogue. The reason it's good is because it's all set to a piece of music that Billy suggested.
Yeah, and I can't even remember suggesting it. But I got a credit in the movie.
That's the point of credits.
Oh, it's
so that, 20 years after you've done the work, you think, oh yeah,
that's right, I did that.
so that's something that it's been directing full-length features is something I've wanted to do for a long time. I'd love to do a sitcom, act in a sitcom. You know, I love watching it with my kids. Say again? Big Bang Theory? In a heartbeat. I've told them 1,000 times, let me be in it, let me be in it. They said, you're not Will Wheaton. I'm like, okay. Kidding. Love being Big Bang Theory. Yeah, my kids and I watch sitcoms all the time. I'm a terrible parent. I let them watch age inappropriate material. Well, I think it's a great way to learn. You actually, the conversations that flow from, it's pretty bad that we do it, but anyhow. So yeah, that guy, yeah, I want to do it all. Apparently Elton John says you can't. Right? There's more to do than can ever be done. Right? That song? The circle. Thank you for your question.
Hi. I'm going to ask a silly question. Can I have a hug?
Later. Can you imagine the pandemonium that would start? I say yes, woman, but at Billy's table later. Okay? I promise. Yeah.
Hello, precious. First, we just want to say thank you so much.
Excuse me, there's a frog in my throat. One thing we haven't seen too much of on the DVDs, at least the editions that have been released so far, are any sort of outtakes or bloopers. I feel like they're kind of holding those back for a future 20th anniversary edition or something like that. Were there any specific memorable bloopers, outtakes, or any sort of humorous stories you care to share about your experience on the set of Lord of the Rings?
There is a bloopers reel, right? Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
That was made for a party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
like
never been released?
They're gonna ask for it now. But yeah, it was lots of silly, fun, crazy behind the scenes. Here's the thing. There was more. It was actually filmed on film, and now everything's digital. And it's great, it's fantastic, it's a whole different experience of making films. But then it was filmed. There was more film than anyone filmed, more film run through the cameras than any one person could watch in a lifetime. There was something like 1 million feet of film, or over 1 million feet of film that ran through there. What you see on 99.9% of that film are people making mistakes, doing it badly, falling down, the set falling over, all kinds of crazy things. So they could release little bits of that, for 1,000 years. So, but I don't know if there's any particular thing. Usually the things we remember the most, I would say, are not necessarily things that were, captured blooper-wise on screen.
I'm still trying to work out 1,000 million pieces of film, every inch of which is a lifetime. Is that true?
That is exactly correct.
We filmed a film that was infinite.
So there were 26 motion picture cameras, and what?
First, just gotta say how much the films and your performances changed my life. They actually brought me and my fiance together, so thanks.
Good for your fiance.
But my question was, is there any set piece or prop that had sentimental value and you brought home with you for films?
Oh, I thought it was like a harlequin. Remember a harlequin? And I did actually. I grew very attached to my scarf, because as we were trying to, create this world, this Middle Earth, and then create the Hobbits, and then a big part of that in our minds was, how are we different and how do we show the different families and stuff like that. And then they had this idea, you're in trying on waistcoats and hats, and I thought, a scarf's nice, he takes a scarf with him and kind of reminds him of home. And then at the end of it, I took the scarf home and it kind of reminded me of that time, So I always, even when Pippin was in Minas Tirith and all these other places, he always had this sort of scarf over his bed or something, kind of reminded him of the Shire. So now I have it. Don't know where to put it, but I've got
it. There's some amazing things. The feet, no joke. Got to take some of those home. Got to take one pair of the feet home that Richard Taylor at Weta actually had. It wasn't bronze, but it was like bronze. It was hard. So we could take that home. At some point, it was like a doorstop and the toe broke off.
I was just about to say that. Because I was thinking, have you treated those really well? Because I've used mine as a doorstop as well. And I took the top off one of the toes the other day, and I thought, oh my god, I bet this is worth like $1 million, and I'm just...
It's a kind of holocaust, is the broken toes, the sentimental holocaust. So, my sword, Sam's sword, we spent a lot of time beforehand and during the films, using our swords, and I'm 14 years old in my mind anyway, so getting to bring that sword in was cool. Peter Jackson basically gathered people around at the end of on their last day of filming, and different people finished on different days, and he would present us with mementos, trophies, if you will, of our experience. So that was one. The bane of my existence was Sam's backpack. So he was that backpack. Remember Simon was the top guy whose job was to cinch it, corset-like behind me, and every second. It's not an ergonomically contemporary design. It's just a piece of cloth with a string on it, and it's got all the bits of pots and pans and sausages and elven rope and things that you have, whatnot. Say again. Elven bread. That's where I was going next. Yeah, elven bread. Tasted like soda crackers, but whatever. Now you're gonna have another. And Sean, Sam, was fat, so eating was really not a problem for him. But they give you this. We're at the top of one of the mountains, and they give you the soda cracker, and you start chewing on it. It's like chocolate. Dust is coming out, and it's terrible. It's terrible. You wanted to eat more, but because you're hungry, they didn't feed us. So, no, I'm kidding. So. Anyhow, so the backpack I got to keep, but the most special thing was Eleanor's dress. Eleanor was played by my then 3-year-old daughter Allie, and she so we got, now when we pull it out, it's too small for her 8-year-old sister. She's 17. So anyhow, it's very. I cried a lot when Peter presented that particular item. It's okay now.
It's funny because, we grew up, Ali grew up while we were doing Lord of the Rings, his daughter, who, as he says, was 3 years old around that age. And then on the flight up here, I sat next to her on the flight and we had discussions about Shakespeare and I'm thinking, wow, this is the little girl who always, wanted birthday parties, and in a bag was one I remember. She could have any birthday party she wanted, princess or whatever. She says, I want to have a party in the bag. So we created a bag, didn't we, that we all wrote in and stuff, and we had a party in a brown paper bag. And we had this nice house, but everyone, Ian and Vigo and the Hobbits and everyone, it was tiny little pup tent with brown paper on it. She was happy as a lark. But then this little girl is now this young lady that I'm discussing Shakespeare with, It's incredible. Time just goes like that. See, I just did it. And it went. It comes back again. That's it. And
someone had asked about his tattoo that all of the fellowship had gotten. And I was just wondering if y'all could show him.
What was his answer?
I'm pretty sure he said his stunt double did it, not him.
Yeah, that's true. His stunt double came.
Brett.
Well, can you show us yours?
We have a pact not to. It's a pact! Oh, we love the fellowship in the movie. But God forbid they actually have a pact in real life. We want that to go right up
I'm not showing it. It's just there. There we go. Luckily, no one has a camera, so there won't be any photos.
Don't tell Orlando. I got mine on my ankle because he got his on his ankle. No joke. True.
And I got mine on my ankle because I thought this film is all about feet. It really was. It was so much for us about feet. You'd be running down a hill and your foot would fly off. He's like, oh, I need to go back to the caravan and get another foot. Not thinking we hadn't finished filming yet. So then, obviously, after you have a tattoo, you have an open sore. That they were then gluing the feet onto an open sore. So it wasn't the smartest thing I ever did.
The alcohol rub on the wound and then the glue. Yeah. It was noticeable.
Yeah.
Hi. I love you guys. And I stood in line for a while to see you, Billy, because you were there, and they wouldn't let me see you because I couldn't afford it.
What?
Yeah, so a hug would be nice for me too.
They let everyone else, just not you.
Because they were paying customers, so they had to be first.
Oh, that's weird.
Do you not like the economics of the convention setting? Because they kind of suck. The economics suck, but that big dragon didn't make itself. Putting together this hall and putting together inviting all of the talent that comes in with all the airfare and all. Nobody wants to talk about economics, but I think it's important to because you bring it up. So they do that. So when they because it's silly. If I'm at a coffee shop and somebody comes up and says, "Can I have your autograph? Can I take a picture?" I say, "Sure." But in this particular setting, in order for them to be able to afford to bring everybody in and do it all, they have guidelines and rules. Now, a lot of people have walked through the line and said, "Hi, I'm just here to say hello." And I say hello. Then we give a high five and maybe have a question or something like that, depending on how long the line is and what's coming up. They'll kind of we can have a moment or not so satisfy your moment. And like that. So, you ever thought about it? That's why. So my feeling is that I love you too. You're beautiful. But I honestly believe that it's important to respect the nature of the space.
Question.
I know, but I hate saying no to anyone ever about anything unless it's something bad. And that's certainly not something bad.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to say no to anyone. We don't make the rules, but Sean's right. I suppose it costs someone a lot of money to put this on.
Her.
But yeah, hugs are good. Hugs, and we can do that, but not right now because, as Sean says, everybody wants a hug, and then we'll be hugging as long as we have.
I'm just going to pick the people I want to hug.
Okay.
Her.
This guy will be number one.
There's a guy way in the back. The one who kept yelling feet.
Person on the horse, definitely.
Goonies! Okay, so my question was, actually, yesterday was the first time I ever encountered someone who knew what I was talking about when I was talking about TIG. I said TIG and they knew what I was saying.
See?
So have you ever actually come across
what type was.
He does.
Fan.
Yeah, and these things, and these wonderful things that we come to these conventions where people know. And that's why we come, isn't it? Right? So we can all play a game, and Elijah can still try and win, even though there's no way that he can ever win. Tim is a made-up game. Made up only to beat Elijah. That's the only reason for Tim.
Cup, however, was a more egalitarian effort.
I'm just posing.
I was wondering if after you guys made the movie, then did you guys, did you watch it and cry? Like,
I haven't brought myself to watch The Lord of the Rings yet. No, I'm kidding. Yes, I watched it. Yes, I cried. And cried. And cried.
I think the coolest thing was the first one when all the great artists who were involved in special effects and colouring and all the things you have to do to a movie after it's been shot had done their work on it, because we obviously saw the stuff that we were doing, and then when the camera pans out and it's just
10,000 words.
yeah, those guys normally weren't there. Or the mountain of Mordor was there. That wasn't there. So when you saw all that, it was just like, oh my God, that's what we've made. It was something really special when we saw that for the first time.
Or Ali, So Allie was, just to double down on that thought, Allie was there the whole time when she was 2 until she was 7. And I remember before the Two Towers came out, we were back home in Los Angeles, and I was showing her one of the previews. And her eyes went wide open, and her mouth dropped open. And I said, well, what do you think? She goes, it's so real. How did they do that? I paused and I said, remember you were standing just over there in that shot. You saw that tree, and you saw that thing, and you saw this whatever. And she was like, I know, but that's so funny because what she was responding to wasn't the reality of it. It was how fantastic, what was very real was me. And that's one of the things I love. It's the thing that I love about this space is that the idea between reality and fantasy is so easily traversed. And I really think that Lord of the Rings has a little special place in movie history for nudging that feeling forward a little bit. And there's so many more, but I'm proud to have been a part of that fantasy promotion communication.
The President of the United States.
Wow, you know what Jeff Cohen, who was Chunk in the Goonies, was the student body president at Berkeley, and when I asked him how he did it, he said he handed out lollipops with a little thing on it that said Chunk for Prez.
Okay, so my question is that now that 10 plus years have passed since the films have been released, is there... I'm sorry, I didn't make it. Sorry, I didn't mean to make you feel old. I was just wondering now that all this time has passed, if there's anything in any of the scenes you would change, what would it be?
One of the scenes that's in the movie or one of the scenes we filmed?
Either one.
All right, I've got one. There was a scene in Rivendell. Yeah. Elfberg, yeah, Rivendell. So I'm there, I don't think you were, yeah, you were there, but you weren't sort of on the set at the moment I was there. So I was there sitting next to Tammy, who was who did all the foot prosthetics for me and then a number of others. And it was Liv Tyler was there, and there was a moment where was it Liv Tyler? She's in Rivendell, right? Hello? She was my elf princess is mixed up sometimes. But Lori is Kate Blanchett. Okay, so anyhow, so I'm sitting on the step, and there's this wonderful, just set piece stage that they had built months earlier and sort of pre-positioned it in this forest so that the woods would kind of grow over it. It would seem very much like it was a part of the natural environment and stuff. So they had props and set dressing. And there was you'll hear him say it.
Luke.
Ah! Knew it. I thought you'd need more prompting.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, it was this wonderful elven loom that was about 6 feet tall with huge kind of oak. I don't know, what do you call it? A bar across the top of it. A loom is, for weaving or whatever. Anyhow, so and then it had the sides. Now, because they wanted it to look ornate, they put it on 4 points. And the wind blew. Knocked me out cold. And as the bruise started to raise, the wig lace started getting pulled. Like one of those cartoons where they're like, what about two? So, and then I did one more shot where we're sitting there, and of the 4 hobbits, we were sort of, I don't know, in the elven waiting room or something. And and then they, I went to get the thing. But then, until present, anytime there's a light breeze, I get this feeling. When Billy senses it, he just says, Lou. It's the only mean-spirited game he ever played. Kid was nice enough. Pup was nice enough. Lou was like sheer terror.
Almost killed him. A man with a normal Danish head would have been killed outright. Sean Astin has a head, it's like he's got a helmet under his hair. Honestly, you can hit him in the head with a stick, he wouldn't bother him. From years of baseball.
That's why I'm qualified to be president.
Very quickly, there was one little thing I would change when I think about it. And very early on in shooting, we had to fall down a hill and all land in a heap, all the hobbits. And I thought on set, what would be really funny? I thought, just to kind of show Pippin the kind of way he is, he always sees the kind of bright side of everything. We fall down this hill, if we landed right next to some horse poo, and Pippin says, oh, that was lucky, kind of thing. He sees even the kind of optimistic side of falling down a cliff. And Pete said, oh, that's a great idea, let's do that. So they got the special effects guys who are amazing, right? But they made this poo that I thought didn't look like poo. But it was from a sick horse. You know what I mean? But it was so early on in the shooting that I didn't want to kind of, be too forward and say, that doesn't look like poo, try again. So, I just did it and I did the scene, and now when I watch it I think, that gag doesn't really work because it doesn't look like poo. It should have been brown with steam coming off and a flying around. You know what I mean? It's a bit too green.
The man knows of what he speaks.
I know about poo.
I couldn't help but overhear that you want to be a director. I was standing in line and I thought of a brilliant idea for a movie.
Okay, go.
Actually, both of you. Okay, ready? Encino Man 2.
I'm liking this already.
What do we have to do to get you two to make Encino Man 2?
Be amazing. In Britain, it was called California Man. don't know and see no means. Honestly, when I met him, I was like, oh my god, there's a guy from California, man. And he was like, what? I wasn't in California, man. I would do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat. He should direct it. Why don't we do it?
Here's the thing about Encino Man and the sequel. I think, as an actor, I would be so focused. Thank you. That's it. It's done. Next.
Thank you.
Goonies 2!
Okay, first of all, Billy stole my rude chant.
Sorry.
But it's okay.
It's important.
I was wondering for Astin, Sean, sorry. If
Either work.
you know anything about the rumor of the Goonies sequel?
Do I know anything about the rumor of the Goonies sequel? I can confirm that there is a rumor. Steven Spielberg wants to do it. He said it all along. Richard Donner, the director, decided to make all of our lives more interesting by telling TMZ that it was happening. I've done like 4 different things that require promotion since then. And the people who pay for the thing that you're promoting are so excited to hear their thing talked about, but they have to be patient and wait first to hear about the Goonies thing. But anyhow, so the Goonies thing, they just don't have a script to the best of my knowledge that they're happy with. I think they're trying to decide between the original Goonies being, now that we're grown-ups, focus on our story or whether you focus on the Goonies kids. I think they're primarily interested in the Goonies kids. So I think that's what's happening there. But they won't do it until Steven feels that the magic is right. And so I trust that if it gets done, it'll be there. As for me, the other actors, who knows if they'll want us to be involved. If they will want us to be involved, as I think Dick said, then I'm sure there will be some way to work it out. I can't imagine sort of not being involved. But it is, there are steps in that process. That's the answer to the Goonies riddle.
I'm sorry, we only have time for 2 minutes.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for coming out. I don't know how many times when I was a kid I faked sick so I could stay home and watch Steve Hennessy's Lord of the Rings. But this is like a dream come true. So thank you. My question is, I know that the 4 of you hobbits became really good friends while filming, and I was wondering if you are still good friends in real life, still see each other. And as a side question for Billy, I was wondering if you still think Dom is an idiot.
Who caught him saying that?
Yeah, we have stayed much closer, I think, than maybe any film that's ever been made. I think we still see each other so much. Dom, we were so lucky that we got to play Merry and Pippin. It was just, whether it's totally by chance, but we just had it off straight away. And we very quickly became really good friends, then really bad enemies, and then lovers, and then really good friends again. And it's sort of been that roller coaster since. Sometimes he thinks I'm an idiot, sometimes I think he is. But we'll never lose that love that we have. It's really, it really can.
But before, who are you?
She's in disguise.
I'm using my internet, but my husband is Mermaid Man from SpongeBob and Marvel.
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
10 years ago, there's a reason for it. I do the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So we shoot in Nickelodeon, and that sponge is always there. Always there mocking me like, you may be successful, but I'm SpongeBob.
Some things go ping. That's a good point. Some things do go ping. If you hit them with your finger, submarines.
Yeah, they generate.
Some things go ping. should say it, and that was a good one. Some things smell of cheese. Mainly cheese. Speech. Okay. Dearly beloved. We are gathered here to meet the new President of the United States.
I tell people I want to be president, and then I bless them.
But it's one thing that we're confused. We're easily confused. I like being in a confused state. I like talking so much and so fast that I get myself excited and crazy. Do you like doing that? And then you go to more and then you pee yourself and then faint. That is my favourite thing to do.
Just so we know, there's a core difference between him doing that and the darling love hate thing.
Don once spoke to me so fast and so funny that I had to leave the room before I passed out. That is honestly true. He started telling me this story that made me laugh so much that I was choking on my own slavers. Slavers being a Scottish word, I think, for spit. And I had to walk out before I died. That is how funny Don can be. I'd like to see him do that on something where anybody who watched the TV show that he was doing died. Right? So people couldn't watch it. They'd make it illegal, they had to hold it in a vault somewhere. Where a guy had to press a button every 45 seconds. Otherwise it escaped. No, sorry, we can't. Sorry, I spoke too much, I beat myself.
Real quick.
Go.
I just wanted to know from both of you what it was like filming the last, I guess, scene with the four hobbits when Frodo goes off to, with Bilbo.
Do you mean the one we had to do 3 times because he forgot to wear the right costume? Did we not then have to do it because something went wrong with the film? I'm sure we did it 3 times. We did it once. He forgot to put his waistcoat, vest back on after lunch. So we were crying all afternoon, and in the morning we said, "Oh, Sean had the wrong costume on. We're going to have to do it again."
That was a bad moment. But Peter Jackson did say, after another 2 hours of doing it, that he said, "Sean, you're really kind of a good crier." He wouldn't have said that if I didn't lose my best. So everything happens for a reason.
It wouldn't have been as good.
Yeah, no, it was good. But I think that the real, the end scene that we filmed, the last shot, to my knowledge, that we all filmed of principal photography, was and this is seen in the book and in the movie. Always makes me cry. Always, every single time. I'll try not to cry. I don't think I will. Okay. Because where Vigo says, "Oh, my friend, you kneel before no man."
Thank you, we're out of time.
Thanks very much.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much.